do I stand aside? I lean towards URA should go, but I think the measurement should not be GDV of development and creating into the GDP of the current economic, but a slightly long-term tracking that the financial impact you create out of displacing this group of families.
Okay, so let's talk about displacing this group of families. Now, you talked about the worry of can the developers sell these high-end condominiums if a whole block of 200 over low-cost flat dwellers are going to move into it, and then that will turn off some new buyers.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, in places like KL City Centre, it's very unlikely that you'll have 200 over units moving because a lot of the units are rented out. So when you're rented out, today your landlord, you got this unit, you can rent for 1,200 ringgit because that's the market rental in the city centre for a low-cost flat, or 1,000 ringgit, 1,200. I think the highest I've heard of is 1,500 a month. Then when you get an exchange of unit, you will say, happy me. Because now I will rent to the expat and I'll rent it for 5,000 unit, 5,000 ringgit. So this landlord could be a B40 that used to live there, now moved back to his kampong in Terengganu, could suddenly increase his rental income from 1,200 to 5,000. So then it's trickle down effect lah. So he's staying in his kampong house, and last time he used to collect 1,200 rental, now he's collecting 5,000. So good. That one is a nice story to tell. Then you got some of these unit holders who are rich people living in Bangsa.
And probably they already bought like 4 or 5 low-cost units.
Then you say, what kind of system is this where these people profiteer? So I if there's one thing about the URA, if one of the few things about the URA that I feel maybe a bit unfair in the social justice is this rich guy in Bangsa who has 4 units, he suddenly gets a windfall for doing nothing, and suddenly his rental goes up from 4,000 ringgit over 4 units to 20,000 ringgit because he gets a very prime location, 1-to-1 replacement.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Are We OK Season 2, together with myself, Peter, Mr. Money.
Hey, hi, I'm Rajiv.
All right, Rajiv. So this week is an exciting week.
Politically, yes. Shit hit the fan for quite a number of people.
So I can't wait to break down what happened and learn more about it. So in our last episode, we talked about this whole PN fiasco, and what happened was that everything escalated this week. So we have more things to talk about, right? So why don't you take us into the whole conversation, what's happening and what we need to know.
Remember before this, we talked about how while Muhyiddin is Bersatu's candidate for Prime Minister, PAS has been never quite out there to confirm it. Correct?
That's right.
But now PAS went like a whole different direction. So in the recent PAS Muktama, which is basically PAS AGM. So every year they have this AGM. In fact, every political party will do this every year. The AGM is when the delegates from branches across the country will gather in one location.
Okay.
2 very important things happen. One is they have election for their party leadership.
Yes.
So this time we didn't see news about the election for party leadership because the top 5 posts was uncontested.
Yeah.
And this is their way of making peace in the top leadership. And then only the central committee, 18 posts in the central committee, that was contested. But the other thing is, this is where the political speeches, because the president, all the top leaders would have a speech, depending on how you structure your AGM, will have speeches throughout the whole AGM. And this is where you get sometimes hints of the direction of the party or struggles that the party is facing, and clashes of ideas, if there are clashes of ideas. But this was not about hints, this was outright bullet. So Hadi Awang, the chief, he said PM candidate should be below 70 years old. You know what does that mean? Muhyiddin is 78 years old.
That's right.
He's basically saying, you're out.
We're not saying we're not supporting him.
We're not saying we're not supporting any particular person to be the PM chief.
We just said that he has to be below 70.
Why 70? Why not 60? Yeah. Why not 65?
Because there are few people who are also in the running for it. They're above 60, right? Like Hamza, Azmin, like that.
So let's look at people who might be in the running. Hamza is 68 years old. So, by choosing 70 years old means you're saying that maybe Hamza can still be considered.
Maybe.
Azmin is 61. I mean, and then a lot of people speculate that PAS internal choice is Dr. Sam. Dr.
That's
Sam
right.
is the Terengganu Menteri Besar, for those listeners who are not aware. And he's widely seen as the technocratic PAS face. And the extent of which stories started coming out that he is the candidate was when they put him to contest in the Kuala Terengganu by-election.
Right.
So they put him in the forefront, and that's kind of a signal that this guy has a role to play in federal politics. And maybe this technocrat face can be acceptable to Malaysians across the board, because when you have the ulama as the party leader, then your demographic is, you constrain yourself.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
you can't come to KL and get much votes.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't go to Penang and get much votes. But
Yep.
yeah, you need someone that is seen to be a technocrat, that is seen to be able to govern efficiently, and so they put forward their most technocrat face, Dr. Sam, as the MB of Terengganu. He's 54 years old. If Hadi wanted, Dr. Sam could have just lowered the bar, right? Prime Minister should be less than 60 years old, age of retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe they're still open to negotiating with Azmin and Hamza over the PMship. But what we have speculated before, what I personally have always speculated, that actually deep down in their hearts, PAS doesn't accept Muhyiddin to be the next Prime Minister candidate, has proven to be true.
Yep.
They don't accept. So now PN has a problem, because Bersatu just declared in their AGM not too long ago that they affirmed their support for Muhyiddin as the
That's
Prime
right.
Minister candidate. And then a couple of weeks later, Hadi Awang comes to say, I affirm that there's no way Muhyiddin will be the Prime Minister candidate.
So then how?
Then how? Then will Gerakan be the tiebreaker in Perikatan? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think so. So then now you have this situation where Bersatu, while we say that they affirm their support, but I think it's just a small amount of the leadership who affirm their support for Muhyiddin.
Yes, it comes
but
down
the
to the
general doesn't look like it, because based on the videos that we see, maybe a few people are leading the havoc, right?
Yeah, a few people are leading the havoc. So far, all the leaders in Bersatu have still lined up their support behind Muhyiddin.
But however, if you actually look at it, the whole alliance-wise, if PAS say we're not going to support someone over 70, and Bersatu say we'll support Muhyiddin, which is over 70, there's only two ways that this can happen, right? Either Muhyiddin won't be the candidate, or either they won't be PN.
I think it won't be so quick to say no PN, because both of them have nowhere really to go. But I think the swords are being drawn. So let's look at other things besides I think, to me, the frustration is not at the very highest only, because if you look at other speeches throughout, PAS delegates who spoke up at the AGM are talking about, Bersatu needs to carry their own weight. So Sanusi, the Kedah Menteri Besar, went on to say that, PAS is paying all the election bills. And, if Bersatu wants to contest, you got to bring money to the table.
Yep.
Well, it's a very big accusation and a very big frustration that is shown out there. And if Perikatan cannot find a way to reconcile this difference, then they are going to take on the Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man, the deputy head of PAS position, to go in the next elections. We win first, then we talk later.
Right.
But I think you got your hardcore supporters. No doubt throughout the country, in every corner of the country, you have hardcore PAS supporters, but they don't make up more than 20% of Malaysians. They will vote for PAS no matter what. Bersatu hardcore supporters, very, very tiny. Most of Bersatu supporters are more neutral on the fence.
Yes.
See case by case.
That's right.
All right. So you've seen some cases like the Johor by-election, wipe out. They all went to support BN. They didn't support Bersatu. And then they saw the general election 1 year later, they all support Bersatu. So hard to tell with the Bersatu supporters, not so hardcore. Then what will make the difference in the election? I think it's very important that they know what they're voting for. And when all the Perikatan supporters who are on the fence, that means they're now looking at both options. They're looking at what the Madani government has to offer, what Perikatan has to offer. And when they see on one side that there is a very clear direction and the other side not so clear direction, it will affect Perikatan support. It will affect. I mean, people will say like, oh, these guys are still fighting over who will be Prime Minister. I mean, if they win the election, can you imagine? It's one thing when the Menteri Besar candidate is in limbo for a few days. But can you imagine how the country will behave from the day of the election until maybe 6 days later or 10 days later, while the top leaders of Bersatu and...
Cannot lah, it'll be hard lah. You
Cannot
can't
lah,
even
can't
decide
you-
on a proper manifesto.
No manifesto.
I won't even trust that your manifesto can carry out if you don't have a proper leader in place, right?
I mean, who's going to launch the manifesto?
Correct.
So let's say Muhyiddin launched the manifesto. Is the manifesto worth anything when Muhyiddin may not be the Prime
Correct.
Minister? Then somebody else be the Prime Minister and he says, oh, well, that's just a manifesto from Muhyiddin, so I don't really know I see lah. Like what Mahathir did last time lah. Manifesto is just like a suggestion.
Now, having said that, right, there's this whole issue right now that they are both claiming each other are not carrying the weight, right?
Yes.
And there's this whole thing. that
Actually,
the
not really. Only PAS is claiming Bersatu not carrying the weight.
Okay. So then Kedah MB say that it costs 1 million per seat.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that? Why does it cost so expensive to actually, for one seat?
Interesting enough, the election law says maximum you can spend on one parliament seat. Do you know how much or not?
I don't remember.
200,000 ringgit. Technically,
Then
not-
1 million.
I think this is interesting lah. So who wants to go investigate? Why is this guy claiming to spend 1 million ringgit per seat when the election law limits it to 200,000? But I think it's quite an open secret that in competitive seats, you definitely spend more than 1 million ringgit. Seats like Seputeh, very clear-cut safe, like no threat that Perikatan will win. DAP has been winning it for decades. You spend 100,000, you need to put up flags, you still need to do the bare minimum lah. You cannot do nothing. That will annoy people another way lah. So that one you definitely don't need to spend even 100,000, let alone 200,000. But when you come to competitive seats that are 50-50, either side could win. Then yes, I think what he has done is let the cat out of the bag that actually political parties spend upwards of 1 million ringgit per seat to fight for the seat.
That's
Because
right.
you got a lot of campaign costs. You have a lot of, not just flags. People see the flags. People see the billboards. Those are very straightforward costs. People see the cheramas. Cheramas cost a lot of money. You set up the sound system, the stage, the projectors, everything. It costs a lot of money. Those are the things that I think every layman who opens their eyes in election will see.
What about things that we don't see?
The things that you don't see fall into two categories. Let's not talk about the first category so much lah. First category is the money politics lah. Where the ang pao 50 ringgit
okay.
per person to vote, 100 ringgit per person to vote. This is more prevalent in some parts of Malaysia than the other. That one will definitely not enter into the accounts of any political party lah. It will be so black money, so under table, and unfortunately, the stories are unfortunately real. You will not see it so much in KL Selangor area. You won't see it so much in like maybe Penang, Perak, Johor, the more developed states. But unfortunately,
In the more rural countryside.
in the more rural areas, this is widespread. So that's one form of the unseen spending. Then the second form of the unseen spending is you have a lot of campaign workers. Now, look at this. Every competitive seat, what you need to do? You need to go house to house. Who's going house to house? Election workers. Now, are election workers volunteers? To some extent, last time, yes. So, parties like PAS, when they were squarely in the opposition and they are fighting against the big bad evil BN, this is pre-2018, they would have enough volunteers. Like this, I'm doing this for the love of my religion. I'm doing this for the love of the leader. I'm volunteering. I don't expect the party to give anything. No one's in government. But today, when everyone has been in cabinet at one point or the other in the last 5 years, then it's different. Then you are paying a lot of machinery. So when Sanusi said 120K per ballot box, I think maybe they was referring to 120K per polling district lah. So polling district is like maybe like one taman or one kampong or maybe like 2 or 3 nearby kampongs together that make up the one polling district where there's, in one school they all vote there.
Right.
So in one polling district, typically political parties will set up one office per polling district in competitive areas.
Right.
So when you set up one office, so op center, there's expenses. There's constant food and drink all day long for the volunteers, for visitors. There is election workers that need to be paid.
Right.
And you have a lot of election workers that will go house to house talking to people. And then these people don't go house to house for free anymore. So you need to pay them. So it adds up. And then you're talking about an election period of 2 weeks. the official campaign period. But from the day Parliament dissolves to election is probably 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks. So that's all the time when the expenses are being raked up. So it costs a lot of money to set up this op center. Because you're not talking about one op center for the whole Parliament area. That will happen in Seputeh, Damansara. The seats that are on the safe side lah. Even for PAS, the seats that where they sure win one, also I'm sure they don't spend so much money. But all the seats that are 50-50, that can swing between either side of the political divide, or better BN to PAS, or back to BN to PAS, or between Harapan to Perikatan, these seats have to spend money lah. So like Aitam, Cameron Highlands, sure spend more than 1 million. In fact, if you tell me spend more than 3 or 4 million, also I won't be surprised.
Oh.
Yeah. They will give all kinds of jamuan makan through NGOs. NGO will organize the jamuan makan.
So whose responsibility is it to actually check through all this? Should it be the election committee's responsibility, right?
Yes. So every candidate has to file the election expense report. So you will collect 100,000 or for a parliament seat, 200,000 ringgit worth of receipts. You must put in your official things, you must put in lah. So your ceramah, you cannot say, I don't know who organized this ceramah. But the jamuan makan, you can say, oh no, I didn't organize. That one NGO organized. Then they invite me, I come and say hello to people.
Right.
I didn't organize.
Yeah, or either someone decided to belanja people makan.
Then the ang pao, the 100 ringgit given to voter. I didn't give. I don't know. I didn't give.
Okay.
Then the ops center in every village, where you got a team going from house to house. All that, I don't know.
Wow, so a lot of money needed, huh?
So all of that can go under the radar lah. The one you cannot go under the radar is your flag. You put all your flags, you put your billboard, then you have your ceramah where your party is the one organizing the ceramah. So those things then you put in within your 200,000 ringgit, you file it, your receipt tally with your report, you get off the hook lah. But we don't have a mechanism to go in and check on all these other expenses that are happening. That's just not done in Malaysia. And at some point, if we want to talk about campaign finance, it has to be done. Because in a lot of first world countries, you cannot have third party just simply spending on election campaign, because then it makes the campaign finance rules pointless lah. To say candidate, you can only spend 200,000. But okay lah, Peter, you candidate, you spend 200,000, but Mr. Joe comes along and spend 5 million on the site to support you. Then meaningless to set the limit, right, of 200,000. So either do away with such a limit. Some countries have no limit, all right? Or if you want to have a limit, then you must also have a limit on third party spending on campaign. So candidates spend.
Either you do it properly or don't do it lah.
Do it properly or don't do it lah. But okay, let's look at the reality lah. If you limit to 200,000, cannot jalan lah. If you limit to 200,000, it just doesn't work lah. It just doesn't work. You're talking. So when he says 1 million per seat, to me, I see it. I know it. It is 1 million per seat, and that's the reality that. Many people will just try to like sweep under the carpet. So I'll join him lah. Very rare I will join Sanusi into something lah. I'll join Sanusi and say like, you know what, that's real lah. That's real.
Yeah lah. Actually, a lot of people know that's real lah. That's why no one is saying anything about it, right?
Yeah.
Everyone just sweep it under the table, don't bother.
Yeah, but maybe this 120K per polling district that Sanusi talks about, it's not every seat. It's the hyper tight race, and in this hyper competitive seat,
right?
I think it's also possible that such an amount will be spent, but then you're looking at maybe 5 million in that parliament seat lah, being spent for that election.
Now, having said that, Marzuki actually, who was Muhyiddin's principal private secretary, he said when Muhyiddin was the prime minister, Bersatu actually had footed the election bill for the 15th January election and even gave PAS a significant financial contribution, right?
Yes.
Leading to Perikatan National winning 43 seats.
Yes.
So, how do you think that that's valid? Do you think that's true? Because to a certain extent, Muhyiddin has been in government for a very long time. I'm pretty sure his fundraising ability is quite strong. Right?
That's one way to look at it. Why would Marzuki lie? It's quite hard to say at this point, but I think this is like maybe trying to save face for Bersatu, because if no one says anything,
that's right.
Then what PAS claim that they are carrying all the financial weight will stand true with the eyes of everyone out there. I mean, all the general public who cares to listen will say that it has to be true lah, because Bersatu never deny. So, Marzuki comes up to say it, not Muhyiddin himself, not Azmin, not Hamza, but Marzuki, who's relatively not the front man of Bersatu, comes to say it. So, do you know what? I'm not sure if you saw the news, but Sanusi challenged him back. Who exactly you gave the money to? So, if this kind of 10 million and all that is above board lah, and I think by now we know lah, all these things are not above board, then there'll be a bank transfer slip lah. From Bersatu account to past account, there should be a 10 million transfer lah. But I think it was a suitcase full of cash lah.
Yeah, but is that something very common in politics? Suitcase full of cash. I've been hearing rumors for the longest of time that generally during election time, it is all about suitcase full of cash.
Yes, unfortunately, as I've heard all the stories and all that, yes. I have to say that I'm blessed that I never have to deal with that. So for example, in PJ, we do fundraising from the public, and we sell the fundraising dinner tables. And during the fundraising dinner, we also collect donation table to table. And we can declare exactly how much we collect on the spot. And we can account for all our table sales. And in fact, if you look at our fundraising dinner posters, all the bank account is there. In order for you to buy the table, you don't bring a stack of cash to the dinner.
Yep.
You actually have to transfer the money into our bank account. So it's above board. We use DAP accounts. We don't use like proxy accounts like some Sendrian Berhad in our fundraising dinner. So it's above board where you can be above board. So in my lived experience, my one is no suitcase of cash. I don't deal with suitcase of cash. But I also know that a lot of political operators deal with suitcase of cash. And unfortunately, when you are raising amounts beyond your 200,000 ringgit limit, then you cannot put in black and white lah. You cannot put in bank account and do bank transfer and pay electronically.
Hey, but wouldn't it be very dangerous? You think about it, right? If during election season, say you need to bring a full suitcase of cash, 1 million, 2 million,
I think
right?
it's scary as hell.
It's scary.
Yeah,
and let's say if my operator passed me the bag and the bag doesn't have 1 million inside, but it's quite clear it's supposed to have 1 million inside.
I think that happens
There's
all the
also
time.
nothing I can say,
I think that happens all the time. I think every time someone gives a bag of 1 million, from the first hand to the second hand to the third hand to the final hand, maybe 800,000 is left.
That's right.
And you cannot do anything much about it.
Because it's not supposed to be recorded.
Yeah. So, two problems. One is on the receiver side, because these political parties also cannot account for the money. It's very difficult for them to account for the money. So, I would rather do away with the 200,000 ringgit limit. Just do away with it rather than having cash flow around. But the second problem is the donor. The donor also don't want to reveal themselves. When your donor is business tycoon, when your donor is prostitution king, when your donor is gambling, then he's not going to declare the donation.
Let them figure out the proxy themselves.
Let them figure out the proxy. So
I think it'll be way easier for the business guy to figure out the proxy than the political guy to figure out the proxy.
I think both can. Both can. You think the politician don't know how to figure out the proxy?
I mean, if the political guy is the one who need to figure out all this, it sets a very clear, we are okay. But when the business guy need to do it, there are times that is a common business practice. You don't even need to be above board or below board. Companies invest in certain companies with proxy so that you do not know what's my business strategy. So it has nothing to do with ethical purposes. So you can still draw it in that line, right?
I think it's got a lot to do with ethical purposes here. But okay, let's follow.
Let's not go you. Until that side, right? Which is true, fair. Okay, not a very good broad statement, but my point is...
Let the businessman figure it out.
Let the businessman do the figuring it out. So...
But it's not the businessman who has the strong desire to give. It's the politician who's like, hey, brother, for so long I protect you, Remember last year you come for me to help? Come on, brother. Okay, I lost my wallet. I need to fly to KL. I lost my wallet. I need 50,000 spending money.
I really think we need to reform our election laws, and then have number one, maybe remove the spending or increase the spending, and number two, maybe create some guidelines over this, right? So that you can properly donate, and when you donate, you can have it into account. Maybe even certain benefits for company who support a cause, because I don't think there's anything wrong with, say, a company
Yeah.
who choose to support certain parties. But from what I know most companies support both sides.
So
They will give everyone.
that is from the legitimate companies. All right. So let's say you take a property developer. So maybe we don't name names to not cast aspersion on anyone, but a property developer will probably donate to both sides.
Yeah, they'll give
Because
both sides.
they
That's
give
what
both
I.
sides. All right. So any property developer who chooses to donate will probably donate to both sides. Maybe very rare a property developer will only give to one side. But that's a property developer. So property developer can declare in their accounts, I did political donation. But once they put into their accounts, in like say in America, companies give to both sides,
Yeah,
and then they just put in
that's
their
right.
accounts.
They put in their accounts.
They put in their
Everyone
accounts.
knows.
Yeah, everyone knows. If, publicly listed company also,
Yeah.
everyone knows they give to both sides. But when it comes to Malaysia, shy lah. Nobody wants to tell exactly how much you give, especially when you give 80-20 lah. I give you 10 million, but I give you 2 million.
Okay lah, that's the thing lah. Huh?
I give both sides. Both sides so happy they got money, but you don't know the disparity lah.
Right.
If you give 5-5, maybe you tell okay. But then you give 5-5, the person say like, yeah, okay lah, thank you, you give me 5, but you also give me 5, so I don't owe you any favor lah.
Oh. Wow,
because
Painful.
the problem of giving goes beyond I'm giving out of love, I'm giving out of conviction. The problem of giving is still very favor driven. This is why forcing the declaration is not easy to implement, because in the end of the day, they will still give the bag of cash rather than give directly for a lot of companies. But some companies will be okay to do it upfront.
That's right.
Yeah. But then you got companies which cannot be seen as companies. Like you talk about the prostitution rings, and if they want to give, how to give? Yeah, so then they need to create proxy lah. Maybe they need to create a bakery and the bakery give lah.
Right.
So that is other complications. But Peter, you're right. I feel very strongly that we need to move towards this campaign finance reform, and if we don't, politicians will be beholden, and that's never good for the country. So that part needs to end. So that's the political part inside. But let's go back to Mazuki.
Yeah.
So Mazuki is basically admitting to giving 10 million. I think then people should question Mazuki. Where did
you get the 10 million
Where did the 10 million come from? Was that 10 million in the bag of cash?
Oh.
And I think Sanusi is right to ask, where did the 10 million go?
Very clever.
I think one is very clever, because if Sanusi knows the answer and he's asking, he's being naughty lah. But if Sanusi, one of the top leaders in PAS, is asking out of genuineness, then I think PAS will have another internal fight after this. When Sanusi will go to the table and say, bloody hell, you took the 10 million.
Where's the 10 million?
Where's the 10 million? Why could I didn't get any of the 10 million? See, as the Menteri Besar, it is customary that the Menteri Besar has to carry a significant amount of the financial weight in the campaign.
Right.
I mean, you talk about your ordinary, like Kedah 36 aduns, right? So Perikatan have 36 aduns, mix of PAS and Bersatu. But when they go to fight, they will not be able to raise money themselves. Now in PJ, in Subang Jaya, in KL, you can do this because you have sufficient amount of people who are accustomed to donating to political causes. But when you go to the deep in the heart of Kedah, it's not easy to go village to village. They'll say like, you want me to vote for you, what you give me? Not, you want me to vote for you and donate to you.
Yeah, so correct. It's a whole different thing.
I sympathize with them. It's not easy to raise funds, and you oftentimes have to look to your leaders to supply the funds. And so when you look to your leaders, the leader have the pressure to raise funds. So as a Menteri Besar of any state, then you need to call big donors and say like, hey man, election coming up, can you donate 200,000, 100,000?
Okay, now, however, let's go back to the topic on PAS versus Bersatu in the PN coalition. Now, we also see there are a few other people who actually took a more peaceful approach. They say, let's stop debating about a candidate. Let's focus on coalition, like Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man. We also have the youth chief who actually say, hey, let's not fight over this. Let us be a happy family together.
Yes.
Now, question. So actually, what's PAS stand? Like, are they supporters that within PAS that still empathizes for Muhyiddin and still want this to work out? Because on one hand, their AGM, they made a very clear statement saying that no support over 70, right? But on the other hand, you have someone like Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man, who's also high-level leader, who actually spoke out and said, hey, let's not debate over this.
I think both are not contradictory. I don't think Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man is supporting Muhyiddin. I think it's just like, if we dwell on this fight, we will implode today. And we cannot implode today. We are not supporting
Right.
Muhyiddin, but let's not dwell on this fight. Let's move forward, let's win, and then we demand. Because PAS is in the position to demand. PAS will deliver a lot of seats. And let's say as we go closer to the election, PAS has also have another bargaining power that maybe many would not realize. That is the SG4. They call it SG4, like the 4 states in the north: Perlis, Kedah, Terengganu, Kelantan. These are the 4 states that PAS is in control. Bersatu contests some of the seats there, but actually they all contest under the PAS banner, not under the Perikatan banner.
That's
Then
right.
when you come south of that, then they use the Perikatan flag. But in the north, they use the PAS flag.
Yep.
So if PAS want to say, Bersatu, you go fly kite lah, I will contest all the seats myself. Bersatu got nothing to say.
That's true.
They got no bargaining power whatsoever. Then what is Bersatu going to say? Okay, I will contest against you.
They have
PAS
10 million.
They got 10 million.
Kidding.
Sanusi got 1 million per seat.
But yeah, actually, quite sad.
If lah, and you see the tone of a lot of PAS leaders saying like, Bersatu, you're not carrying your weight. Bersatu, you're not carrying your weight. It's time for PAS to lead. Do you know that one of the resolutions passed is to say that the motion to strengthen Perikatan National was amended during the debate? The original motion was for PAS to seize Perikatan. That means stop letting Bersatu have a controlling say in Perikatan. It's time for PAS to be the big brother. Yeah. And if PAS really want to be the big brother, there are 2 dimensions lah. You talk about federal power, PAS become the big brother, you say bye-bye to Putrajaya lah. Because you got 20% support throughout the country. There's no way in hell you can win enough seats to go to Putrajaya on your own. You never have. And if today, when we look at the whole electoral landscape, if the PAS leaders in the north feel that there is no way we can win Putrajaya, I know Anwar has Kautim, Sabah and Sarawak so well that the Madani government can pull through overall lah. We can win in the certain areas, but we cannot win Putrajaya.
Yeah, you have a strong opposition.
Then you're going to be opposition. So if we cannot win federal government, then why give face to Bersatu? No reason to give face to Bersatu.
Correct.
Because now, in your 4 northern states, you are sharing power with them. You are giving your parliament seats to them. You are giving your state seats to them. And why share power with them? I got so many members. I got so many aspiring leaders. Why should I even share one seat with you? There's no give and take lah. I share seats with you in the north, but in the rest of the country, what you deliver back for me? So if PAS wants to play hardball with Bersatu is in trouble. And we also focus on the 4 states because that's what everyone sees lah, the Kedah, Kelantan, Terengganu, Perlis. But actually, Penang mainland is also shaking, even though the Penang Island will overcome it, so they will never win Penang. But next to it, Perak. Do you know that in the last election, there were just 4 seats from winning Perak? Perikatan had got more seats than Harapan and BN. It's just that because BN and Harapan joined together, they formed the government. But actually, Perikatan was 4 seats short of forming the government. In Pahang, same thing lah. Because of the combination of Harapan and BN, the state government was formed and Perikatan is in the opposition. But they're only 5 seats short to win. So PAS can say, man, at the trajectory we are growing, if we feel confident, we can become state government in 6 states. Okay lah, Putrajaya, wait for one more round lah. I calculate, no matter what I combine with Muhyiddin, I still cannot win Putrajaya. Then screw Bersatu lah. Let's get rid of Bersatu and stop sharing power. So you will have PAS leaders in the north feeling like that. Then you got PAS leaders in the south who like, if we don't cooperate with them, we are dead meat lah. If I talk about in Johor, Muhyiddin more famous in Johor. Johor not as PAS state as other states. Then no collaboration, then any chance of PAS winning seat in Johor might be gone. But the leader in Kelantan is saying, I don't care lah. I care that in Kedah, I care that in Kelantan. What for I want to share power with them? Maybe they're very irritating. In the meeting, always very irritating. I mean, I share from experience that having been long enough in DAP, worked with PAS, 2008 to 2015, worked with Bersatu after that, until 2020, And then after that, short break from working with everyone. And then after working with Bersatu, then work with BN. I can tell you, working with Bersatu was quite difficult.
Oh, really?
Yes. Working with Bersatu quite difficult.
Why?
Probably personality clashes more than anything else lah. But it was quite difficult, especially in Selangor. Quite difficult. So actually, working with BN is a breath of fresh air after working with Bersatu. Differences are differences, but with the ability to sit down and this is our agenda, this is what we need to do, and not have to like really want to feel like strangling the other person on the other side of the table. So when we did the manifesto with Bersatu in 2018, wow, really fight like nobody's business lah. But when we did the manifesto with BN for the 2023 state elections, much more easier to talk. Much more easier to, okay, I understand your point of view, you understand my point of view, we need to let go of this, we need to let go of that, okay lah, I can add this for your sake lah, you really need this lah, okay lah, we can give and take. Much easier.
Right.
So this is my experience I was in the Selangor Manifesto Committee for both 2018 and 2013 with PAS, 2018 with Bersatu, and 2023 with BN.
You've tried all three.
I tried all three. So this is like the policy making representatives from each party. I can tell you, huge difference. So maybe past guys also getting really irritated lah. Every day have to have internal meeting with Bersatu. Damn annoying. And then they're saying like, kick you out of government lah. What for? If you don't contest, I still win all the seats. Even if I don't win all, so I win 80 to 90%.
I don't need to give away.
I don't need to give away any seat to you. If I lose 2 or 3 to BN also, never mind lah. What for I give away 10 free seats to you? Because I give to you also, in the end of the day, is my past cawangan that is out there running your campaign. Who's your campaign worker? Bersatu got how many campaign worker in Kedah, in Kelantan? At the end of the day, it's all the past missionary. You look at all the Bersatu candidate in Kelantan, all fly the past flag during the election, not fly the Bersatu flag. Seriously, go. Anyone listening to this and don't believe, you just Google. In Kelantan and Terengganu, every Bersatu candidate is flying the past flag. In fact, after the election, you Google how many seats Bersatu won, how many seats PAS won. People all giving different answer. Because when they look at the PAS flag, they also don't know this one is Bersatu or PAS. Whereas you look at if you do a simple search on Harapan, you're very easy to know who's PKR, who is DAP.
That's right.
I think you don't need to spend more than 2 minutes, or in fact, don't need to spend more than 30 seconds on Google, on Facebook search, on Instagram to know that this guy is a DAP guy, this guy is a PKR guy, because they don't need to go and totally hide under the banner of somebody else, They can be themselves. But oh my God, the Bersatu guys in Kelantan and Terengganu, you don't know they're Bersatu. They totally wrap themselves in the past flag. And they have to win.
Now, having said that, then UMNO also came in and joined the party, right? So Ashraf Wajdi Dusuki said that since now you have claimed that Bersatu actually paid the 10 million.
Yeah.
So that's what broke Muafakat Nasional apart lah, like that. Yeah. So what do you think about this whole saga then?
I don't know why he need to go and say that. Because I think he thought he was helping. Sometimes when you take a cheap shot, you think you're helping, then later when something else come up to just shoot you back. So yes, turns out Muhyiddin gave money to UMNO also when he was Prime Minister. So looks like Prime Minister have tremendous fundraising power. Terrible, right? So something that needs to be fixed, but I think he did not do any favors to UMNO to claim that. In the moment, for a good 2 hours maybe, he got like, I shame PAS. PAS, you left the Muafakat with UMNO to go and join Bersatu to form Perikatan because of money. No lah, not for 10 million ringgit lah. Because 10 million ringgit, either side can give lah. Yeah.
All right. So that's all about this whole political saga between Bersatu and PAS.
Yeah.
We'll see what are some of the upcoming development moving ahead. I'm still curious, when is Muhyiddin gonna make his own statement? But I doubt he will.
I doubt he will. I don't think he can, because I think you see, it wasn't a normal MP, normal Adun that came out to say that Muhyiddin shouldn't be the Prime Minister. It was Hadi Awang himself. And so now, I'm sure they're doing a lot of backdoor negotiations. Muhyiddin, I'm sure, has his men talking to Hadi Awang's men to like, hey man, brother, come on lah, think of the big picture. You want to capture Putrajaya, we need this, and the negotiation will go on. I don't think Hadi Awang is going to U-turn in 1 week. No way. No way at all. But maybe in 3 months or maybe in 6 months possible.
Maybe.
But not in the next 1-2 weeks. Lah. So I think Muhyiddin has to just keep quiet, lay low and avoid the press. Because if I'm a reporter and I see Muhyiddin at a function with a press conference, I'm surely going to ask him. So how, Tan Sri? You're going to hand over the Prime Minister candidate to another person in Bersatu that can be acceptable to pass? What he going to answer? No comment. So I think Muhyiddin has
No
to...
comment is a comment. That's the thing.
Yeah, so I think Muhyiddin has to lay low for a while all his people are scrambled to talk to Hadi's people. And at some point, maybe Muhyiddin has to go and see Hadi one-to-one.
All right.
And then, kiss the hand, brother, give me one chance. Don't worry, I will make you special advisor, senior minister in the cabinet or something lah.
All right. So thank you very much. Let us take a quick break and later we'll come back for the second part of this episode. All right, welcome back to the second part of Are We Okay? And now we're going to move on to the next conversation. This one is our little mini riot in Malaysia, but not exactly a riot lah.
Not riot lah. I mean, you see what happened in Nepal recently.
Yes,
that's a
right.
riot, man.
That
They
is a riot.
The
That's
Prime
crazy.
Minister's wife.
That's a whole topic in itself.
Yes.
Yeah. But let's talk about this part, right? Which is Kampung Sungai Baru. On the 11th of September, there was a whole hoo-ha there because there was this eviction going on and it led to quite a violent kind of scenario lah. So can you share with us actually what happened during the time and what are your thoughts about this whole eviction thing and this whole repossess of land?
So if you start at the 11th September, it's quite, towards
Advanced,
the end
yeah.
lah. We maybe need to go back a few more years before that. But when the Land Acquisition Act was invoked by the government, and this was 2021 when Muhyiddin was Prime Minister, when the Land Acquisition Act was invoked by the government, that means that you have no choice. You have no say. What you can argue in court is on the price. You can't argue in court to say don't acquire my land.
Correct.
So there is no turning back on the land acquisition part. The land is gone. The government has taken the land.
Yep.
What you can argue is the quantum.
That's right.
All right. So people oftentimes know this, but overlooked it. Purposely want to look beyond this because then you can create political issue. Because if all you're arguing is the money, then it's not a sensational newspaper story. Like if it's my home, I'm evicted from it. Why the police are so violent? Why everyone is so violent to evict? And then of course you can argue lah. So you have to have land acquisition from time to time. When you want to build the MRT, when you want to build the ECRL, so much of land acquisition for the ECRL. At some point, you have to remove people if they really don't want to go out.
That's
because
right.
if you wait, then 20
Impossible,
years,
right?
nothing will jalan.
So the real question is about the price, right? Right now.
The real question is the price. So then you got people playing politics with this because this is now with the URA, whatever the issue is, become 10 times bigger. And if you look at what the minister said, what Zaleha said, 72% of the residents agree. So Peter, do you have any idea how many residents are there? How many houses are involved here? Is it like
I have no idea.
So I also had to check it out because it seemed like a very big riot the way it was portrayed. But we're dealing with 328 homes, out of which 264 are flats across 8 blocks, and 64 are terrace houses. So terrace houses would also come in different sizes. You got the corner house and your intermediate and whatnot. Each of the flat was offered a replacement. So the old flat was taken away. So these old low-cost flats will be a few hundred square feet. I think most of our listeners can imagine what a low-cost flats will look like. Yep. So according to the news, they offered one unit replacement worth between 884,000 to 1 million ringgit per unit. This makes a lot of sense and why 72% said yes. Not bad lah. Right. Then they also, terrace house units were offered between 3 to 9 units, depending on the size of their terrace house.
Right. And where are these units?
These units are in that land itself.
That land itself, right?
This land is 7.8 acres.
So they compensate you with a new unit within that.
So then they give you rental assistance. So you move out, they pay your moving costs, they give you rental subsidy every month for you to rent a house somewhere else. And then when the development is finished, then you move back to your new high-end condo in the middle of KL. So I can understand why a lot of people agree to it and why some people will still say sentimental value and whatnot. I don't agree to it. So I guess that's the background of it. But what do you think, Peter? Worthy to riot, or do you think this highlights a big problem that the URA is going to bring like repeatedly one after the other, as what a lot of opposition leaders are claiming?
I think this one can't be avoided.
Okay.
If I read through the background, even in Singapore, it used to happen as well. When they had to redevelop a number of places.
Yeah.
Common thing, right? And it's very normal. Then the question is, do you want to do it for the greater good, or do you want to maintain with that few, right?
Yeah.
Now, then the question is it worth it as well? So do I have a straightforward answer? I don't.
Yeah.
I think for me also the easiest question to actually ask is it fair value? So apparently from what I've read, they say that the acre of land is about 200 million to 250 million by estimation, but the amount that the developer paid was actually 62 million, right? So then people are saying that, hey, with that in mind,
Not fair.
not fair, you know. So then the question to ask is, okay, again, I'm not siding either side.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Maybe you should take a side.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Because I prefer my side to be intellectually supported first.
Okay.
So I was thinking to myself, right? Okay, assuming if the land is 200 million, land alone 200 million, then the question is my GDV,
Yeah.
right? Now, they say that each unit built there will be 800 to 1.5 million. According to Johari, he say that it 1.5 million onwards.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's always taking the upper limit of the number lah.
Yeah.
Standard lah.
Yeah.
Right? Now, so if we say about 1 million, 1.5, that's the kind of number that you're looking at. The question is how many units.
Yeah.
At this point right now, I'm not yet seen sketches of the building. How does it look like?
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. Now,
Okay, that's fair.
that's number one, right? Number two, when they say that they're going to locate it back to the residents, I have another question.
Yes.
You're talking about a group of people who are living in low-cost flats, suddenly moving to 1 million
Condo.
Now, now, here's the problem,
Yeah.
Will developer be happy about it? That's number one.
Okay.
Because when you have units like that,
Yes.
and if I am a buyer, I know that there's going to be 200 over units
Yeah.
from a low-cost flat coming in.
Yeah.
Will they be willing to pay that price?
Okay.
That's
a
number
fair
one.
question.
So there's going to be a business problem there.
All right.
There's no right or wrong. It's just a business
But clearly
problem.
the developer is happy
Right?
to proceed.
Yeah. So then how are they going to arrange it? Is it going to be a separate block?
Yeah.
A separate block, then now I have an issue. Is it a more low-cost block? So the implementation calls in a lot of question for me. That's number one. So some people are saying that then should you actually go with like, since the land value is 200,000, then we need to maybe divide that up in that kind of value to give to the people or profit share or whatnot.
Yeah.
I think it's very hard to work out.
Okay.
I really think it's very hard to work out.
So
Not-
I think
not so easy to work out.
Yeah.
So
Fair questions.
so these are some of the things. Now, my only question is this then. Was there a very clear plan on how this is implemented so that these people, their interests are protected? Right? If there is, then I think for the greater good, it will work. Because let's say, for example, if you own a low-cost flat, quite clearly the market value is say 150 to 200,000.
I think a
assuming
bit more lah. In this location, maybe much
maybe
more than
250, 300 lah.
Yeah, yes.
So depending on what's the value like. Now, then if you were to give me a house that say 1.5 million, then why not we have an agreement that say I don't sell, I don't live, but rather you provide me assistance, I look for my house, and then I get a gap. So I got the amount of cash or whatnot, right? Or whatever ways lah.
Yeah.
Now, this could end up be much more beneficial for the people who live in the low-cost flat. It could mean that these people will be able to have the means to move up to a higher social circle. And yes, so within this group of people, if there are some people who say that, no, I love my house,
Yeah.
then I think it doesn't make sense because the GDP that you can create out of this group of people moving up the higher social circle is actually much more beneficial to the nation as a whole. And it's also more beneficial to this person who say no, whose children.
I think that is where a lot of people are riding on to oppose the URA. When you say that the GDP creation out of this, so now we talk about displacing some people to create GDP benefit.
Okay, so my GDP benefit is not land development as a GDP.
Okay.
I'm saying when let's say a family of B40 who can't even afford to send their kids to a university,
But suddenly got windfall.
who now you have a windfall, you can send your kid to a university and maybe start a business.
Yeah.
Now you, as a resident, that profit from this development,
Yeah.
create a more long-term GDP.
Yeah.
That is where I think that social impact calculation need to be in place to have a good implementation of URA.
All right.
Yeah, that is my thought process. So do I stand aside? I lean towards URA should go, but I think the measurement should not be GDV of development and creating into the GDP of the current economic, but a slightly long-term tracking that the financial impact you create out of displacing this group of families.
Okay, so let's talk about displacing this group of families. Now, you talked about the worry of can the developers sell these high-end condominiums if a whole block of 200 over low-cost flat dwellers are going to move into it, and then that will turn off some new buyers.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, in places like KL city centre, it's very unlikely that you'll have 200 over units moving because a lot of the units are rented out. So when you're rented out, today your landlord, you got this unit, you can rent for 1,200 ringgit because that's the market rental in the city centre for a low-cost flat, or 1,000 ringgit, 1,200. I think the highest I've heard of is 1,500 a month. Then when you get an exchange of unit, you will say, happy me. Because now
I get
will
to
rent
upgrade
to
my
the
rental.
expat and I'll rent it for 5,000 unit, 5,000 ringgit. So this landlord could be a B40 that used to live there, now move back to his kampung in Terengganu, could suddenly increase his rental income from 1,200 to 5,000. So then it's trickle down effect lah. So he's staying in his kampung house, and last time he used to collect 1,200 rental, now he's collecting 5,000. So good. That one is a nice story to tell. Then you got some of these unit holders who are rich people living in Bangsa.
And probably they already bought like 4 or 5 low-cost unit.
Then you say, what kind of system is this where these people profit here? So I if there's one thing about the URA, if one of the few things about the URA that I feel maybe a bit unfair in the social justice is this rich guy in Bangsa who has 4 units, he suddenly gets a windfall for doing nothing, and suddenly his rental goes up from 4,000 ringgit over 4 units to 20,000 ringgit because he gets a very prime location, 1-to-1 replacement. Then you've got the... So when this thing happens, the landlord are going to change their tenants, for sure. So how many of the owner-occupied will move out and move back in? That's a good question. So I would predict in a lot of cases, not many will move back in. Once they move out, and for 5 years, they are staying outside. And in this case, like a lot of them are staying outside for 6-7 years already. And then now only they're trying to demolish the house, another 5 more years to finish construction and deliver vacant possession. By then, how many will move back in? They'll say, never mind lah, I already moved to another location. Maybe I'm staying in a rented terrace house. Maybe I'm staying in a rented flat. I continue to stay here lah. So I pay rent maybe 1,000 to 2,000 a month. Then this unit, I get 1-to-1 exchange. I collect lah the 5,000 rent. I also rent. So how many of these original flat dwellers will move back in? For sure some, but it may be not more than 20%. When you look at the situation, and this is where your trickle down goes down to B40 families.
Or is it rich family who actually owns the unit?
That's the thing. Now, it's a mixed bag lah. In any of this development, there will be half B40 and half super landlord.
You also can't deny the fact, right? Maybe what happened is that I owned that house when I was poor.
And then
today I'm very rich already. There's no law that say they have to sell it, right?
No law to say that you sell it, but that means you only have 1 unit lah.
So going back to the topic of this is that I think it's just unfortunate that it's a clash. But I think the bigger topic here, while we are focusing on the violence, more important is actually how should URA be implemented, in my opinion. So that there should be the bigger picture lah, right?
Yeah.
Now,
I think there are lessons to learn from this.
That's right.
And to some extent, this can be said to be the test case of how the government should handle the next project, which will be under the URA, when it comes to these 328 units, another part of KL. How would the government handle it?
Yeah. So if we go to the other part of it, which is the implementation of the URA, right? We go further into it, right? Here are some of my thoughts as well, right? Now, like you say, there's a mixed bag of people who actually owns this low-cost flat.
Okay.
Now, we know that generally there are a few kind. Number one, I bought it because genuinely I was B40.
At that
and
time.
then at that time, and today I'm rich.
Yeah.
Right? There's the I'm B40, today I'm still B40.
Yes.
Then there is the people who just rented it out. They may not be very rich, they just move out. Right? And then I'm renting it out. So I'm decent.
Yeah.
M40.
Yeah.
Then there is the other group who, through funny means, if I'm talking about proper low cost,
Yeah.
they somehow managed to get a number of units
Yeah.
rather than just one.
Correct.
Which is very normal, right?
Which stories have come out before? Yes.
So I actually in the past own a number of middle low.
okay.
So basically it is around low cost flat.
So you're going to benefit from the URA.
So it was middle low. What happened is that it was low cost flat, but surrounding because the area is low cost,
Yeah.
so private developer also developed,
Low cost.
and it was during 10 plus years ago where it was still all about walk up apartment.
Yes.
So Dala, you walk up and then now got lift, it lagi look low cost. So a lot of people think that I bought low cost, but it's actually not low cost.
Okay.
It's just priced for that group of people, right?
Okay.
And when I bought it, it was 100K lah.
Alright.
But that time I was fresh grad.
Okay.
So I bought 3-4 unit.
Wow.
Right. Yeah, because as a fresh grad, right?
Not bad. Fresh grad buy 3-4 units.
Because I calculated very simple. Under one salary, at any point of time, I can pay about 700 ringgit worth of rental. But if my friends are there all straight away buy like 400,000, 600,000 house, if one unit don't rent out, I die.
Yeah.
This one at least 3 unit, I won't die.
Yeah.
That's my calculation.
You don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Correct. It was just a very simple thing. Today, I'm getting rid of most of it.
Okay.
Because I think along the way as I grow up, there are a few reasons.
Okay.
Number one, I don't see it as the best investment.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I already made enough from it. That's number one. Number two is, I think it's about time to give it back for people who need it.
Okay.
That's how I see it.
All right.
But if today I start off with, I got a lot of money, will I buy that?
No.
Maybe not already. For social cost, maybe not.
Yeah.
Right? But
Okay,
during the
fair
time,
enough.
I only treat 2.5, 3K.
And not bad, you buy 3 to 4.
'Cause
I'm
that's
impressed. For the record, I'm impressed.
That's my investment strategy with no means at the
Yeah.
point, right? Now, okay, that's another story.
Okay.
But my point is this, okay? I think URI is the best time to investigate how on earth you get so many units. How did you own 4 units?
Yeah.
I think that's the number one thing that they need to take action of.
All right.
Then set a precedence that, look, make a news out of it. So those people who own 10 units,
Yeah.
they will know that it's time that I better faster let it go before I get into trouble.
All right.
Now, this
That-
will
that's
lead
one-
the price to go back down because I need to quickly sell it
Okay.
instead of holding on to it.
Okay.
So I think this should be the precedence that should be set.
All right.
Okay. Number 2, I think if it is a B40 family end up being rich and today he'd have to sell this unit, I think it's fair lah. Unless you want to be a 100% socialist society lah.
Yeah.
Then, because if you go out the way to that extent, then you're not going to encourage anyone to invest or do anything really.
Yeah.
Okay. And the third thing that I think it should happen is that we should think about a broader perspective of how we should have certain regulations around property ownership. So I think one of the easiest model to look at is actually Singapore itself, right?
Yeah.
But hard to implement because we got more land.
Yeah.
Right? They have little land, so it forces them to do it. We got a lot more land. But I think there could be a selective kind of property that we can implement what Singapore implement, which is at the moment you can only own one property or something like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they have certain laws to kind of cool it down so that you don't overinvest and stuff like that. And I think that should happen. So for example, if it's a property that's 2 million and above, hack it lah, you got money, you do lah. But if it is say 400 and below unit, you're not allowed to own
More than one.
Then
Okay. I think that's...
you revamp the whole thing. Then what happens is that people get an easier access and affordable units remain an affordable unit. And let's say, for example, because I'll be very honest, if I am from a poor family, not too poor, my family not bad, send me to a university, government university, come out, I got a fresh grad job.
Yeah.
Do you think I can afford to buy a $800,000 house?
No.
It's impossible. I need to step it up. So my first entry will definitely be a 200,000 house. Now, then I need to go in it, and just like my case, actually when I did well, after people thought I buy low cost flat and they say, hey, why you so unethical, Now, what happened is that for me, I voluntarily choose to slowly let go down.
Okay.
Right?
Not everyone.
But not everyone.
Not everyone.
Not everyone want to do that, right?
Not everyone.
So, but you need to put in certain mechanism to say, okay, I'm willing to let go. Then what happened is that as a boomer, as whatever not, I got a lot of money. I know that this house is in that range. It's time that I let it go. And I know that there's no more upside. I won't go and push to 600K.
Yeah.
I will make sure I let go at 300. So yes, well, there's price increment, but it's not too high.
Yeah.
Yeah. You also don't want the previous owner to be selling at a loss.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Because put it this way, right? If your property is not earning about 20%, you're actually selling at a loss. 20% profit in market value, you're actually only breaking even. Yeah. And chances are you're even losing money if you take into account maintenance.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you need at least 30%. So, and if let's say you kept it at 400, the guy who buy at 300, you know very well you're not going to make money. Then you will only buy it if it's for living purpose. So I think there should be these kind of measures.
Yeah. I like that idea. I would welcome such an idea to put the ownership cap on affordable housing. So we have 400,000, or maybe we can start smaller at maybe 250,000 and below, putting that ownership cap so that you don't have one person gasak 20 units and become landlord king, raising the price for the other average family trying to enter the market to buy one. So I'm all for that. That's a debate that we should have. Hopefully the Ministry of Housing would consider that because it will be a very big shift. Very big shift.
I think a lot of people will not be very happy.
A lot of people will not be very happy. But I think also maybe it's still the minority of property investors that own a lot of low-cost units. Yes. I think a lot of property investors I know are into shop lots, into larger units. Sometimes it's, like you said, if you're managing one tenant, and then if you don't get rent, you die, versus you manage 4. But if you're a large-scale property investor, managing 4 is easier than managing 25. So having 25 low-cost flats can be a lot more headache than managing, say, 4 condominiums.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to each their own. But yeah, let's say on the interest of access to housing for lower income to middle income, Singapore's policy, one couple, one HDB flat is definitely something to consider. Something that I would definitely support if it's on the table here in Malaysia. Yeah. So I think that's important. I think when I look at this, what is happening with this URA, I think it clearly leads to some of the questions that may have not been discussed in the public sphere, and what do we do about that? People who object to move. Now, 80% threshold that URA is talking about, now that PM says move from 75 to 80, 80 to 85. Okay, great. We make it a bit more tighter. But if the balance 15% who don't consent, 10% who don't consent, is because they can't be found or they are untraceable, all right, then it's a different problem. But
I just passed away, the will is not yet fully executed.
Correct. Yeah, then there's one problem. Then they cannot sign the consent because they have ownership struggles and they have other maybe lack of interest or lack of knowledge. But then when you have active objectors, then you want to consider a tribunal or a hearing, a formal hearing process where the objectors can make their case why redevelopment shouldn't come to this area. And then for a panel, let's not have one person, but let's have a panel to judge, to say there's a strong case why we shouldn't redevelop this area. Because sometimes the 80% who agree could all be the investors cashing out.
Could be.
And then the 20% who disagree
I think
could
that's
be
a good
the
idea
people
as well.
who live there. So this is one of the mechanisms that we could consider to further improve the social justice in future URA projects.
Yeah, I think
so that's
good.
one. Then the second one is this. They said the negotiations went from 2016 to 2020. Then in 2021, the government invoked the Land Acquisition Act. So now these people in 2025 still don't want to move out their house until the fight with the police, throw stones and all that. So from 2021, when the government invoked the Land Acquisition Act, the people who agreed, the 72% that the newspaper is saying that agreed, they get their money. So you sign the agreement. Okay, I'm buying the new unit. You need to sign the new S&P agreement, right? And then when you sell, you need to sign that SMP to sell to developer. You need to sign the SMP to buy. And you sign the contract for the moving cost, the rental subsidy during the construction period. So all these agreements you need to sign. The point is only voluntary people will sign. The balance, whether it's the 10, 15, 5% that don't sign, don't consent, clearly also won't be signing these agreements. So the mechanism must come into place. When people don't sign these agreements, then how do you award to them? Correct. So maybe there's a cash value that covers the new property. But if you don't sign the SMP, I can't give you a 1-to-1 unit. But there's a cash value to the new unit. And then there's a cash value to the relocation cost. There's a cash value to the legal fee that the developer subsidized. So all that cash value should be banked in immediately to or a check should be written for you to bank in.
Yeah.
But the money should be paid immediately when the land acquisition is invoked.
Yeah.
So same thing with the URA. Now when the URA, maybe 90% agree, but the 10% who don't consent, how are we going to drag it out? Because I think in the future, it shouldn't drag out from 2021 to 2025.
Yeah.
If 2021, you invoke the URA or you invoke the land acquisition, when you invoke it already, to say that, okay, we got sufficient consent, we are moving forward, the people who didn't consent, they need to get their cash immediately. Because you can't drag the issue. You shouldn't drag the issue. So I think that's another thing that should come into place so that once you get your check or you get the money banked into your account, then the resistance to move out, I think, will be somewhat reduced. And that's when you have to face the fact.
Yeah.
I think the soft side also should be put into place. You should send counselling officers there to okay, come you have to move. So here are some things that you should consider, and let's just find a way to support you in this thing. But at a certain deadline, you need to end the story. I think one of the lessons to learn from this is future URA, if need to happen, should not drag for years. Because when you drag for years, one is the people who are refusing to move live in that cloud for years. But the second problem is the people who are doing the temporary rental from 2021. They are doing temporary rental wherever they are deciding to rental under the rental subsidy. They are delayed 4 years. Now the construction hasn't started for their new units. So now they have to wait even another 4 to 5 years before they get their key. So that is unfair to the 72%. So we want to be fair to the minority. We also need to be fair to the majority.
That's right.
So this is something to take into account. And then this is one of the example, and I think there will be a few more cases like this where 328 units over 7.8 acres. It's a windfall for whichever developer that comes in. So how do we balance the profit sharing? Because you are replacing 1-to-1 unit. Let's say if in this 7.8 acres, there was 700 units, then the 1-to-1 will be so much more expensive for the developer. Then the profit margin is much tighter. Then less developers will be interested. And then we need to ensure that the URA maybe doesn't treat everything as apple to apple. Because some housing are in bad shape. Sewage don't work, structure is failing. You need developers to come in. But then developers don't go in there because they got 700 units, not worth it. Then they go to the site with 300 units. They won't worth it. Even though there's no structural problem, residents are living in harmony, refuse to move. Higher percentage of residents refuse to move out. And so we need to consider this 1-to-1 replacement. I think maybe the 1-to-1 still is a basis of starting point. But if the developer, it will make a windfall in this 1-to-1. So you replace 1-to-1, then he sell the balance of the units. So 7.8 acres, easily 2,000 units. And if what they are telling, the free units are also up to 1 million ringgit per unit, then Joe Gani is talking about 1.5 million. So easily 3 billion ringgit of GDP there. I mean, just the back of the envelope calculation.
That's right.
Then you compensate people 62 million. Walao. You talk about your profit margin, right?
Yeah.
So is there then a way to government to take back some kind of contribution costs? Okay, so if you are going to make beyond a certain threshold of GDV versus the ratio of compensation to the original owners, maybe we should claw back some of the windfall tax on this. And we have windfall tax provisions in our law already. When the windfall tax has been used for palm oil before, maybe use the windfall tax on such URA projects.
Yeah, I think that actually when you own a land and then it's being redeveloped, the residents should have some sort of a profit share of future earnings. Reason being is because it is quite common for developers to say JV with certain landowners and build a building and then have profit share.
Yeah.
So if there's a common practice, why shouldn't that common practice be extended to normal people who are kichimel, very small players?
Yeah.
I mean, you should see that one unit line in that case, right? Like, let's say, usually if I JV with a landowner, I will give him 10%. Now, then I would say that, okay, 10% divided among whether you 700 or 1,000 people is your problem.
I think in this case, when you talk about giving the free unit, and maybe they just up the value of the free unit as
because
part of the JV.
that one is easily manipulatable, you think about it. Like for me, my opinion is this. Like I tell you the unit is 1.5 million, but when I launch, right, it's a 30% discount after all the rebate.
Yeah.
So actually the real value is not even there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my point is this. I think there should be some sort of a profit sharing mechanism in place to be more sustainable and to be profitable for the people as well. It's more equity in that way. Yeah. So a bit socialist, but not entirely socialist. I think it's still quite capitalist.
It's quite capitalist.
It's quite capitalist.
I think my one more socialist. When I say the windfall tax should come in.
Yeah, the more socialist.
More socialist. But because it's also a public good.
Yeah.
You know, when the government allow you to build 2,000 units where there used to be 300 units, the government is increasing the value of your land. Let's say the government say, okay, you redevelop but maintain 400 units. Then the developer say, how to make money.
Correct.
But the government say, okay, I let you build 2,000 units. Then the government is giving you the access to your profit.
That's right.
So the windfall tax, I feel, is justified.
Yeah. I think can both go in place.
Both can coexist.
Both
can be a formula that gives both the landowner,
Yes.
but as well as public good.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah. Now, let's move on to the next story before we end.
All right.
Over the past few days, we have heard globally, there are quite many countries who have crazy riots from Indonesia, Nepal, Philippines, Bangladesh. Right? What are your thoughts about what's happening? Because it seems like, while it looks like it's a local issue, but all of them are rising on the same theme, which is corruption, wealth gap,
Yes.
stuff like that. And all of them are raising the One Piece flag, right? The pirate comic flag. So what's your general thoughts on this whole thing?
I think this was maybe last seen with the Arab Spring when multiple countries also had similar theme protests. And I think this is a systemic problem that it's time for good leaders to rise. Because when you have widespread corruption, widespread inequality, at some point, you'll say what the hell, man? Well, why do I want to allow you to live in excess? You know, the Prime Minister, the ministers, the MPs are all living luxuriously. Look at the Indonesian one. It started with the housing allowance increase, like 12,000 ringgit just for housing allowance on top of all the other salary and all the other allowances. So much of housing allowance, far more than people's total salary for the year. I can understand where. I think if you have a situation like Malaysia is not so bad. The income gap is not as big. Singapore, the income gap is also small. So then you have virtually no chance or very small chance of having such an uprising. But when you have such big gaps,
correct,
sure we have uprising.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's time for global leaders to realize that you can't just live like a king while your people suffer. You can't live lavishly because you are the person in political power while the masses are struggling to make ends meet. Food prices rise globally, costs of fuel, is affecting everyone globally. And if the government says, too bad lah, it's just a global inflation, everyone has to deal with it. But I think that's not good enough lah. And
that's right.
If you push people to a corner, one day they'll push back lah.
That's right. I think my whole lesson that I learned from it, or my observation, is that there is this global problem of the disappearing middle class. Middle class today is disappearing because it's being pushed down or either go upwards. So I think the world economy actually thrived when there were more and more people coming from the lower class, moving up towards middle class, gaining more earning power, creating a strong market. That's basic economics, right? Yeah. China gained its economic power because there was a rising middle class. Malaysia, the same thing, more buying power. That's what happened. But somehow when things turn into one level of extreme, suddenly the gap
Do you think the gap is going to keep getting worse?
Yes.
I think if there's no intervention,
Yes.
the gap will keep getting worse because of technology.
That's right.
So the rich will get richer because
gonna go
right
worse.
now you got more and more automation. Then when you got more and more automation, then suddenly people don't have jobs. Last time, in order to produce goods and service, you need a lot of manpower. Now, day by day, the number of manpower you need to produce goods shrinks.
Shrink.
Then when it shrink and you don't have any intervention, any policy intervention, is a capitalist situation, then you can suppress wages. Because now you got more people competing for less jobs. And then when you suppress wages, the gap between the rich and the poor start to grow. So if there is no government intervention, if there's no socialist intervention, I have to say if there's no socialistic intervention, this gap is going to get worse and worse, and then you're going to have these riots.
I agree. I think that I think is the nature of how things are, where eventually middle income will disappear. And the gap will become bigger. And sometimes the disappearance is not because people are not making money, but because the people ahead are going to climb so far ahead. So far ahead, it becomes a problem. So to give a classic scenario was like, now we always talk about the boomers are holding most of the wealth. Why on earth are boomers holding so much of wealth? Because boomers came out at the right time. They bought the houses when it's cheap.
Yeah.
And because now they don't need the money,
Yeah.
they're not desperately selling their house, so they can just hold it forever as they want.
Yeah.
And all this causes an inflation in the whole market.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing with stocks, same thing with everyone else. So anything else, it's just going to be the same. Now, the only way the middle income can come up and maintain as middle, and you have a new wave of middle income coming in, is government intervention. Because the children of the people who are rich are going to be admitted into a high level of society immediately.
Yes.
Now, and the poorer people will have a problem because you can't advance accordingly. Like you say earlier, in the past, maybe if I'm from a B40 family, today if I want to do well in my life, I just need to go to a factory and work. But the issue is this. In the past, the value of a factory worker is more important because I have a more direct input into creating a product. But today, less. And I'm so unimportant that I can be so easily replaced. Yeah. Now, then the problem comes on with this. The only way is to provide human capital with a certain ability to generate value that is future-proof. And again, I have to say, our nearest neighbor did a very good job in focusing on education.
But I think education now is already at the limiting end. So because as more and more automation comes in, more and more AI comes in, now even though you're educated as an engineer, soon your engineering job will be eliminated.
So here's the thing, right? Here's my argument to this whole thing right now.
okay.
Is this, I think there are two prongs to it. Education is a long-term effect thing. So if today you implement good education, it will take about 10 years to 20 years for you to see the effect.
All right.
Right? Now, however, during this time, the gap is still going to widen. This is the part that the socialist policies have to come in, so that you can have, you make a system while encouraging capitalism. You force people to have to contribute back so that wealth will trickle down. And another very simple one, right? EPF versus CPF. EPF have no upside when it comes to contribution. If my salary is 500,000, 11% contribution is 500,000. 11. My employer need to give me 12% of 500,000. Singapore, there's a cap. After 100K of salary, I don't take your CPF anymore. So now you got excess cash. You cannot depend on CPF. You have to invest. And what does it do? It forces me to put my money back into investing in the market. Now, I may go into bigger company, but I could also invest in startup. This could spur up an economy itself. So wealth transfer happens, right?
Okay.
Now, these are some of the socialist policies that have come in place. Then number two is actually a revamp of our education system. Because I like to always say this one thing, right? So I'm in the media business. Most of my applicants are media students.
Okay. Not ready for the workforce.
Do you know what they study?
What?
Today they come in here. Media is all about social media.
Yeah.
They are studying how to do newspaper ad.
Outdated.
Newspaper ad. Who on earth does newspaper ad today?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's not a valuable skill. It's just that it's not a skill in demand as far as I'm concerned. Now, so engineering is the same. today, you don't need to learn how to do that calculus anymore. No. Actually, what you need to do is to think about how to think about a problem and find out a solution according to certain mental models or thought processes. But those are not being taught. We are taught to punch in a scientific calculator to come up with whether it's this over this or what to come with the answer. But the explanation behind is not part of the syllabus. So I would say that there needs to be more resources placed to revamp the overall education system in itself.
Yeah.
My only comforting fact is, I don't know whether it's a good thing or bad thing, but Prime Minister Anwar actually said that he asked industry to actually work together with university pro bono, something like that, right? I mean, I don't know what's that statement.
Okay, but if they work together,
but I guess he's
lah.
trying to head towards that direction to say, get industries in so that we can have a more relevant.
Yeah.
Because currently the gap between a syllabus and actual tools needed at work is actually, I think, about 10 years to 5 years gap. Because I don't know how it works, but I know that if today I have a syllabus, I need to get multiple approval. By the time I get approval to make it a certified, recognized degree, it takes a couple of...
Even if the gap is 10 years, let's say you narrow it down to 1 year, after the guy graduate, 10 years later, then how?
So now the gap is going to be faster, because like this year's AI and next year's AI is very different.
Yeah.
So if I go and study AI in university
it's not about
today,
what you learn in university.
Correct.
It's about developing the brain power
Correct.
to learn on the job.
So are we spending all our effort as a nation to think about how to future-proof the next generation?
So I think there's multiple prongs. One, education. Need to rethink education. We cannot do the industrial age education anymore. Then you've got the spending. So if we let spending be totally free market, then it's problematic. Like say for the housing example. So how do we put in the socialist direction policies to control spending so that everyone has a decent quality of life? I mean, look at if you talk about housing, Singapore's model, the bottom 80% all stay in HDB. Whether you're earning 15,000 a month or earning 1,000 a month, you all stay in HDB.
And it's a nice HDB that's livable.
Nice HDB that's livable and same quality. The guy earning 15,000 a month and the guy earning 2,000 a month are living in the same quality housing.
Yes.
So in a lot of societies, when the gap is so big and then you live one in a bungalow and one in a squatter house, that's when you have riot.
That's right.
So you need to have spending policies, you need to have education policies, but you also need income policies. Like we cannot have a race to the bottom as the workforce competes for less and less blue collar jobs or less and less jobs in certain industries which are downsizing because more and more automation is coming in. Then will there be a race to the bottom? I mean, you talk about engineer, fresh grad last time earned 2,000 a month. 10 years later, fresh grad still earn 2,000 a month.
Correct.
Now fresh grad also still earn 2,000 a month. Race to the bottom. As more and more engineers enter the market, as less and less engineers are needed, the race to the bottom when it comes to wage policy. So what will be the new wage policy? Because a pure free market wage policy tak boleh jalan man.
So here's the thing, right? Here's the conundrum in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Like in Singapore, I understand that the minimum wage right now, that general a fresh grad will not expect anything less than 4,000, which is a very normal thing,
Alright.
right? If you're high quality fresh grad, right? So they are like 6,000, 8,000 also.
Yeah.
But there are still some more lower skill level, it's about 2,000 plus.
Okay.
But general accepted is about 4K.
Okay.
Okay, for the more
Middle band lah, middle band.
middle upper bija, right? Yeah. I don't think Malaysia businesses in general, I'm pretty sure that there are 20% who's willing to pay that amount. The question is, it's very hard to hire. It is so damn hard to get someone like that. It is so damn hard to get good quality fresh graduates these days. Because again, the education system is so bad. I give you a good example, right? I actually really want to hire some very, very good ones.
Okay.
For example, I want to hire from the Malay community, right? But the good ones are all masuk JLC. And when you're good, you masuk JLC. Can speak proper English because my English content, I need the guy to write in English, right?
Yeah.
So can write proper English or go JLC. How to hire?
All right.
Very hard.
So I think we've highlighted enough challenges that any government of the day should consider. I just can only wish that the next election will be a debate of these ideas and not just the 3R.
I mean, because what they don't realize is that when when you have a group of people who are so poor and they have nothing to lose and they see no hope, that's when they will walk into a prime minister residence and loot the prime minister house, because
Nothing to lose.
nothing to lose anymore.
Yeah, nothing to lose.
Anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is a danger that I think, although I think Malaysia is still very far away,
Yeah.
but
Need to look at the direction that
yeah, these kind of things is a slippery slope. Once it happens very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that's a lesson for all world leaders to listen to our podcast. And
Hopefully,
get free advice.
I feel more like it's a my shock sendiri parliamentary debate. Yeah. All right.
Well, thank you
very much
for tuning into our shock scenery debate. But I think there's a lot of merit in it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. If you like this episode, do hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Bye, everyone.